It's me, Yasi Salek, here in gorgeous Portland, Oregon at Project Pabst Festival, and I'm joined by Brian Ritchie of the iconic Violent Femmes.
Nice to be here.
I was absolutely 12 years old screaming the lyrics to Kiss Off as if I had that much to be angry about, but like really belting it, living.
Well, you know, that's part of our job is to be kind of oracles or vicarious for other people's thoughts and emotions.
Yeah, you were like a conduit for my adolescent angst.
Yeah, that's why they always say, "You're the soundtrack of my life."
Yeah, isn't it weird for people to say that to you? Because you had your own soundtrack to your life.
They say much weirder things. The weirdest was like a lot of people said, "I had sex for the first time while listening to your album."
Which one?
The first one. And then eventually a girl told me, "I was conceived while my parents were listening to your first album." And I hadn't heard that before. And I said, "How do you know?"
Yeah, they told you, your parents told you. It's a weird
they
relationship.
Told me. My parents told me.
Because their parents were cool punks. That's why they thought they should share that with their... So you guys are from Milwaukee.
Yeah, we're originally from Milwaukee, which is very appropriate for Pabst Blue Ribbon.
But you picked up and moved yourself right down to Tasmania, Australia.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that?
I moved there about 18 years ago. There were some factors, like one of them was political. That was when Bush was the president.
Sure.
And I was like, this is not looking very good for America.
Yeah, you're like, I'm out of here.
It might even get worse.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Well, we don't have to get into all that. But
that's one of it. But also, we started playing in Australia in 1984.
Right.
And I always felt like I really belong here. This is a good place for me. So we just decided to move.
That's cool. And you do a music festival down there, or a gathering?
Yeah. It's called Monofoma, which is associated with a museum down there called Museum of Old and New Art. It's quite a good festival.
A lot of people also don't know that Nirvana opened for you guys in Australia, right? When they were sort of early out there.
Their only Australian tour, they opened for us.
So wild.
And then later on, they repaid the compliment by having us open for them over in Scandinavia.
How was that?
It was great.
But yeah, not to harp on about your legacy, but I just feel there's a couple of bands that I always pinpoint as being like really heavily responsible for allowing and ushering in what became alternative rock music in the 90s, that boom. And Violent Femmes is definitely one of them. You guys were really ahead with the kind of the sound of what you did with the first album and subsequent albums,
Well, we were ahead of the times, and we were also outside of the times.
Yeah.
Because we didn't sound like anybody else from not even other alternative bands.
Yeah. Were you trying to sound like any other bands?
No, we wanted to sound different. And being ahead of the times has served us well, because here we are, we're still able to play on contemporary music festivals. It's not a nostalgia thing. It's a nostalgia thing for individuals, but it's not like a generational nostalgia thing that much. We intentionally set out not to sound like anybody else, and that worked for us. We've been very influential, and yet we've been so moderately successful that nobody ever had a chance to really get sick of us.
I've never gotten sick of you. You guys were into punk though, right? That was like part of some of the influence when you were first starting the band.
Well, we think we are punk.
You are punk to me, but
punk has congealed into kind of a formulaic thing. People have forced it into a formula that did not exist originally. Originally, punk just meant musicians who are playing for the love of it, playing something that's not intentionally commercial, although sometimes it eventually became commercial, and with little hope of success, because there was no pathway for us when we started. There was no alternative radio, there was no MTV, there was none of that stuff. So we didn't see that we were really going to succeed.
Speaking of MTV, I read that MTV Unplugged was partially or wholly inspired by the Violent Femmes, even though you guys never actually did one.
Yeah, we never did it, but they did take our formula, which was playing acoustic, high-energy music. But a lot of the bands did it wrong because they thought, oh, we're acoustic, now let's sit down.
Slow it down, yeah. Make it more coffee
let's sit
shop.
down.
Yeah.
Whereas we're acoustic, so now we have to work even harder to have that kind of energy.
Yeah. Was it, okay, let me ask you, fast forwarding to the last album, that was 2019, right?
Yeah, it happened. We released it right before COVID stopped all bands from being able to promote their albums on a tour. So that was kind of bad timing.
That was bad timing. But you guys had Tom Verlaine play on a song on there. How was that? Was he a hero of yours? Yeah, he was one of our biggest inspirations. And what happened was we recorded most of the album live. Just live in the studio, but that one particular song, Hotel Last Resort, we built from track after track, and then we got to the point where Gordon said, I said, this song could use some like Tom Verlaine style guitar. And Gordon said, well, you can play like that, so why don't you just do it? I said, well, why don't we get him to do it? Why don't we just ask the guy? So I called him up and said, you want to play on the recording? And he said, sure. So you just had Tom Verlaine's phone number in your phone? Yeah. That's pretty cool. I sent him the tracks, and a few weeks later we got them back. And he had laid down 2 tracks, one with effects and one that was clean. Yeah. And I assumed that he did that intentionally. So we mixed it and layered the tracks together both simultaneously. And then I said, wow, that's amazing how the 2 tracks work together. And he said, oh, well, I didn't even think about that. I just thought I'd give you the choice between the 2 different tracks. Like, well, so we took them both, babe. We were greedy. We used both of them. And I think it's one of his last recordings, poor guy. Yeah, may he rest in peace. Yeah, we love Tom. Gordon and I both agree that's probably our favorite band. Television, I have a strange opinion with Television, whereas I like their 3rd album the most than the
really?
early. I'm a 90s girl, so I think it has a 90s flavor of sound to it. Yes, it is a good album. Yeah. Call Mr. Lee on that album is one of the best guitar performances of all time. People don't like it when I say Marquee Moon is too long also. It's too long, babe.
Well,
wrap it up, bitch. I don't like that, but let's... We'll agree to disagree. It's a wide world. People are entitled to their opinions. What of the Violent Femmes hit songs added up, greatest hits, what's your favorite to perform live? Well, first I'm going to debunk something that you just said, which is hits, because they were not hits. But they were not hits. That Blister in the Sun was not even released as a single. Yeah. The single was Gone Daddy Gone, and it wasn't really a hit per se. Well, it was on Slash. It wasn't going to become a hit. So they were not hits, but they have become standards. But I know what you mean, the big songs, of all the big songs. My favorite to play of the big songs is Added Up, because it's just so propulsive, powerful. It's like a runaway train. I mean, it starts, and it just keeps on picking up more and more energy. And live, as soon as you kick into it, it's infectious, even for us to play that. So I would say of all the most prominent songs, that's the one I like playing the most. Of all the most well-known songs that we will not call hits. Well, I'm really excited to hear it. I saw you guys play at Coachella in 2013, and it was a formative and beautiful experience for me. So thank you for that. Yeah, that was actually, that's how the band was split up, and Coachella got us back together again. Yeah, we don't talk about Wendy's Gate on here. That's one of their gimmicks, is that they find bands like the Stooges or the Femmes, or I don't know who else, but that are split up, and then they try to, sometimes they try and fail though. I've heard that they've been turned down by some bands. I think there's a couple bands that'll just never do it, like the Smiths, for example. I think they've tried many times to get the Smiths, and they're just not going to do it. Well, what band would you like to see reunited at, anywhere, but at Coachella? That would get you up from Tasmania. I wouldn't mind seeing the Talking Heads again, but they're one of the bands that Coachella asked to reunite, and they said no. So I think it won't happen. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, even getting them in the same room, I think, was a huge coup during the stop making sense moments. Jerry Harrison
has stayed friends with all of them, so
he
he's kind
produced
of like
an album for you guys, right?
yeah. So so he's kind of the glue that holds the rest of them together at this point, and they seem to be getting along pretty well socially, but I don't know if they're going to play music.
Yeah. Well, we can dare to dream. Or is there anyone at this festival you're excited to see at Project Pabst?
Well, Billy Idol's,
Sure.
we've done other shows with him, so that'll be fun. He's an entertainer, and I liked him a lot.
Were you a Gen X
he had a punk punk band generation. At that time, that was before he became. He was a band member, but he was a good front person for the band. And I really liked that album when it came out. So that's somebody that I've been into for however long that is, almost 50 years, I guess.
A lot of people don't know that Tony James was also in a band with Mick Jones right before that, called, terrible name, the SS. Is that what they were called?
Yeah, not politically correct.
No. And Morrissey applied to be their singer. They received a letter from Stephen Patrick Morrissey, and he was turned down.
Well, we've known Morrissey and the Smiths since they basically came out and started. When we first went to England, we were on the same record label, Rough Trade.
Wow.
So they gave us a copy of the Smiths album even before it was released. And it was like, yes, these guys are onto something.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. That album, that's a perfect album. No skips, start to finish. Well, this was so nice. Thank you for coming and talking to me. I'm super excited to see you guys play.
My pleasure. I'm super excited to play for everybody, and we're grateful that there are still young people and old people that still want to listen to us. So
the music doesn't lie, babe.
Yeah.
It's perfect music. I take mushrooms and listen to American music at least twice a year.
I take mushrooms and play it.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Thank you.
All right.